Welcome to the next monster fight. Today, we have ourselves a flagship Royal Rumble. It's a battle for the generations. Which one will come out on top? Begin!
Oh yes, my fellow hunters, welcome! So, since I did that poll recently, and thousands of you voted, and I know which is your collective top 5 favourite flagships over Monster Hunter's storied history, and I, of course, know my favourite 5 flagships, instead of just kinda going through them, I thought, you know what? Let's fight them! My 5th against yours, and so on and so forth, and we'll see how the matchups fall. And then to go even further than that, I'm gonna have a go at trying to decide who actually would win more times than not if you threw every flagship in a big-ass arena together and had them all brawl to the death. Now, obviously, initially, right, these are a lot of very powerful animals. You throw them all in a ring together, and it's gonna be brutal, it's gonna be bloody, it's gonna be harder to watch than this. What do you even do in that situation? That's so embarrassing. He's just stood there. I don't blame him. Like, just, that's a kill me now situation. Oh my word. So this gets complex. There are like 16-ish monsters here, all powerful apexes vying for a victory, and really, it's anyone's game. They're just gonna fight somewhat randomly. Only the Elder Dragons have the intelligence to somewhat play it tactically, but with this many moving pieces, depending on who gangs up on who, I mean, realistically, a lot of them would run away, but if we force them to stay, well, anyone could win the day. But I imagine that's unsatisfactory, and you want me to at least give a stab at who I would put my money on if I had to bet on the last monster standing more times than not. So we'll try and tackle that one first. And to do that, we gotta look to the skies, because aerial superiority is no joke, and we have a few contenders for that title. We have Kushala Daora, we have Astalos, Rathalos, Seregios, Valstrax, and Nergigante, and technically Gormogon. Now, Nergigante, despite being an Elder Dragon, and Gormogon, well, they're immediately getting their wings clipped, because they are not built for aerial combat. They are bulky, they fly to travel, but they do not have the grace or acrobatics to do really any kind of proper combat without their feet firmly planted upon Earth, and they would be, well, just completely taken apart. Even though Nergigante, as I said, is an Elder, I honestly think even an Astalos could really outdo him to the point of driving him away in the skies. Astalos is incredible in the air, dragonfly-like. Dragonflies are the most effective flyers on the planet. Out of every living animal, dragonflies have the highest success rate when it comes to hunting. They are superb little killers, and aren't you glad we no longer have to deal with 2-foot-long ones? And Astalos takes a page out of their book and would be nigh uncatchable in aerial battle. Seregios is similar, even Rathalos, the king of the skies, is similar. Though make no mistake, against this competition, Rathalos is more like the king of the dies. No, but honestly, it's Kushala Daora. If he wasn't here, it would be one hell of a dogfight twixt Rathalos, Astalos, and Seregios. But Kushala Daora, I mean, it's hard to fly in a tornado. They can't compete with his level of power. He would quite literally blast them out the air. His hide is akin to steel, and he could handle what they have to dish out all day. Even his weakness to lightning is not enough for Astalos to do anything meaningful here. Nergi could maybe just barrel into him in like a kamikaze, bringing him to ground in a huge crash, and sometimes that would happen, but again, I'm going for the more likely, most of the time result here, and it has to go to Kushala Daora. It's simply too difficult to try and fight in the air against a dragon that literally control winds, and animals fly via the use of wind currents under their wings, so it's just, it's the rock to everyone's scissors. It's too much of an advantage. Listen, 3 tornadoes, and he's got the air on lockdown. Hell, it's hard to breathe in a... Oh no. No! Oh! Oh! Oh god. Okay. And yes, even Valstrax couldn't really handle Kushaladora in the air. Valstrax is all about that hyper speed. He is traveling at jet-like propulsion, but he's not an aerial fighter. Like Nergy, like Gore, he wants to be on the ground, he wants to brawl. He'll use it in short bursts for maneuverability on the ground, but he's not a graceful aerial combatant. So, again, he'd really struggle to get past Kushala, who is literally in his element here. So, Kushaladora, more times than not, is the sole aerial combatant, which means we need to look to the land melee. And, well, let's zoom down there and have a little bit of a bash at that. Look, this is much messier, but unquestionably the favourite to win is Nergigante. That might be somewhat anticlimactically, but this, as much as Kushala is at home in the sky, is where Nergigante thrives. A restricted arena, and yet you might be saying, well, why can they fly forever if the ground guys can't run away? I'm kind of imagining, like, I don't know, like a few hundred meters across and like 100 meters tall, like dome that they fight in, and you know, hovering 100 meters in the air is still fine to wait out the carnage below to finish before you swoop in and take out the victor. But either way, this one, I mean, something like Bloodbath Diablos, you could just burrow underground and wait, but he's not gonna do that. He is running on pure rage, so yeah, tactics like that aren't going to come out of anyone but the Elder Dragons. But yeah, Nergigante is just at home here. This to him is, Nergigante is here for great banquet. Look, I even get to kill you all myself. Like, he is built for this level of combat. He has the technique, the strength, the skill, the regeneration, most of all. He's going to take them down one by one by one. They'll all be fighting each other in little pockets, in little groups, and he'll just go round, dive on someone, neck, snap, throat torn, and that's just going to keep going on in a chain until he comes up against the three main contenders for actually beating him. But for Nergigante to not do consistently well in this type of format, well, it would have to look something like this. Then Frenzy Gormogon and Lightning Legiacris and Brittle Tigrex and the Night Naga Kouga, Tailsaw Glavenus and the Green Zinogre and Bleedser, Regios and Bubble Mitsune and Froska Moth, Astalos, Shock, Rathalos, then Valstrax, Bloodbath Diablos, then Kushaladora, Brachydios, Dios Mios, every single damn flagship versus Nergigante came all together super fast, and then they kicked Nergigante and his spiky ass. It was the bloodiest battle that the hunters ever saw, with the local wildlife looking on in total awe. The battle raged on for 50 minutes, many monsters died, but eventually the champion roared. The rest saw the dirt. Nergigante regenerated unhurt. So, who are the three main combatants that could mess with Nergigante and ultimately win? Sadly, it's nothing like Naga, who's suited to ambush hunting and really doesn't like one-on-one confrontation. Tigrex, more of the full-on I'ma kill ya. Still kinda weak compared to some of the big boys here. Even things like Legiacris and Zinogre, they've got the thunder, but they don't have the physical force to back it up. Glavenus would do okay. Gammoth is huge. She could take quite the beating, but even with her bone-shattering trunk, she's just gonna have so much trouble putting the other monsters down. So, the main ones then... Oh, and by the way, let's talk Gormogon. I feel like this really is the elephant in the room. Sorry, Gammoth, I realize that's insensitive. And by the way, Gammoth got 1% of the votes in the poll. Like, that's such a fuck you in particular to one of the fated four. Gormogon then has quite an ironic end in most of these bouts. If we're going to take it fully realistically as to what would happen, we can't ignore the frenzy virus, and it quickly spreads like, well, a plague through every non-Elder Dragon. The Elder Dragons have impeccable immune systems. They are superhuman, or I guess super monstrous, and they are able to effectively fight off the infection and not succumb. Everyone else, though, is going to start dropping like flies, and then, well, get back up. And they're going to get back up with hyper-enhanced senses, speed, aggression, and strength, and, well, enter the apocalypse, because they're going to tear each other and everything to shreds. To shreds, I say! Because essentially we have, like, what, 12-ish zompsters? Monbees? Yeah, Monbees! Rampaging around the place, mindlessly attacking the nearest, well, other Monbee. So now the Elder Dragons are probably fucked, because a frenzied monster can certainly have a go, and there's a lot of them now. In fact, the only person that really loses here, I say person, monster, is Gormogon. He can't run away, it's an arena, and he's now made every single opponent, except the Elder Dragons, who are already way stronger than him, way stronger than him. He's going to get broken in half like a Kit Kat. And it's not gonna be pretty. He's already physically not crazy up there. He's like Nergy Jr., really. And he, haha, yeah, no. He's fucked. He does kind of force by his presence the fight to go down in a very similar frenzied fashion. Even if he's killed instantly, the residual frenzy on his body is going to start an infection spread, so yeah. God damn it, Gore. Why you gotta be this way? But let's push that out of our minds for a moment. We have to look at who can take Nergy, and that is Valstrax, Bloodbath Diablos, and Brachydios. Now, Brachydios is here because for a essentially normal monster, right? He's just a regular species, is nothing, you know, crazy force of nature, but his offensive capabilities are amongst the highest in all of Monster Hunter, as are his defenses. His hide is amongst the toughest that can be found. I mean, it has to be. He survives his own earth-shattering explosions constantly without so much as a scratch. Brachydioses are ridiculous, and undoubtedly, even if we took away the Elder Dragons here, Brachydios is by far and away the favourite to win an all-out brawl. We take away the Deviant as well, as that's also kind of unfair. Brachydios is going to take it. Take away Gore as well, so Frenzy isn't a factor. Brachydios is going to take it. I might be favouring him, because I love him. You guys know I love him. But legit, lore-wise, he is so strong. If it was Raging Brachydios, he'd probably win the whole thing, and it probably wouldn't be that difficult. He would need ganging up on any given 1v1 that isn't against an Elder Dragon, because they would still really, honestly, murder him, but they would very much have to work for it. They're just going to get slimed and exploded. None of these monsters can really handle that level of explosive power going off point blank on their hide. None of them really can get through to Brachydios to do damage. The thunders can shock him. The fires are not going to even slightly burn him. I'm not saying he's indestructible, right? He could lose a 1v1 with nearly anyone here, but maybe only 2 out of 10 times. You essentially are just going to get huge chunks of flesh blown off you with every altercation, while dealing negligible damage in return outside of a very lucky hit. A few monsters kind of rock, paper, scissors him. He would struggle, of course, with the aerials, and I realize I've kind of segregated, like there's going to be a battle in the sky that goes until it ends and one on the ground, when in reality they would intermingle. Of course they would. The ground monsters firing up, the sky ones fighting a little bit on the ground, going back in the air, not directly against each other. Of course there would be various different ways this goes down, but for ease of thinking about it, I think this is the way to go. But yeah, he is one hell of a contender if we take out the absolute, you could argue, unfair powerhouses. But again, I keep digressing. So, Bloodbath Diablos, Valstrax, and Nergigante. Brachydios out the running, because he still can't really take Elder Dragons effectively. Who wins here? Well, it's honestly, it's super even. Bloodbath Diablos is monstrously strong. The title of Strongest Deviant is not one held lightly. He, if he got a good charge, could arguably, realistically, one-shot both the others. In fact, all 3 of them could realistically one-shot all the others. Against Nergigante, well, he's fighting some actual thought behind the battle style. Bloodbath Diablos is a pure instinct powerhouse angry. I just know you need to be dead. How that happens? Well, you know, instinct, take the wheel. And I feel like he would go for Nergy, go for that charge, and Nergy honestly could grab both horns just before impact, get slid back from the force, slowly break to a halt, bloodbath, bring him to the ground, and then he's got the throat access to. But equally, he could misjudge the strength he needs, misjudge the timing, and, well, take a horn through the face, instantly killing him. I think between Nergy and Bloodbath, it's a titanic clash. I would adore to see that turf war. It would be a battle for the ages. And I think, all said and done, it's probably 6 out of 10 times Nergigante wins, just through superior tactics. In terms of physical abilities, yeah, it's almost impossible to separate them. It really is. Bloodbath is so hard to damage. His hide is so toughened, but again, Nergigante, a volley of spikes would, well, leave him a dead pincushion too, but also his crest on his face could probably take them. They'd probably ping off. A good burrow underneath would come up into Nergy's soft belly and maybe even tear him in half. Yeah, if he took to the sky though and like dive bomb dropped on Bloodbath's back, he could wrestle him to the ground with his weight and then go for the neck. It's so difficult to call. And the thing is, everything I've just said also kind of applies to Valstrax when he tries to fight Bloodbath. It really comes out to who gets a good hit first, and it could be anyone. Valstrax, I think, is essentially just a little bit of a weaker Nergy. He's got the Dragon Blast, he's got the Dragon Attacks, but Nergy's very capable of taking that. Of course he is. He hunts and eats Elder Dragons. I think, honestly, it's hard to argue that Valstrax beats Nergy, just because, again, Nergy is so suited to beating Elder Dragons. So, really, whichever two gang up on the third dies, and then it's one hell of a 1v1. I think it's probably 3 to Blood, 3 to Valstrax, and 4 to Nergy, but it's so close. Arguably, the ground battle ends up with any one of these 3 winning. I'm going to do a proper lore on the rocket-powered dragon very soon, and you'll find out a lot more about him, but physically, yeah, he would have a hard time with these two. So let's assume then, again, might be somewhat anticlimactically, Nergy is left standing, but it could be all 3 of them. They're now against Kushaladora. Well, if the remaining combatant is Bloodbath or Valstrax, then they essentially lose. They can't do anything to Kushala in the air, and will slowly but surely succumb to the battering tornadoes and wind blasts that are so powerful they carve out rock. You don't want to be hit by that. Valstrax could try and get back in the air, but again, he'd get thrown back down. Diablos could sit underground, but he's not going to. He's going to try desperately to jump up and get Kushala, and he can get some height from his burrow attack. He might get lucky, reach him, and get a gash of a horn that injures Kushala enough to bring him to the ground, and then Kushala would 100% lose a ground-based battle against Bloodbath, but he's an Elder Dragon. He's got the thinking going on. He's got the tactics, and he would just slowly but surely make Valstrax and Bloodbath lose. Nergy, on the other hand, with his regen, could take these wind blasts all day. The spikes going out would eventually land home. Granted, Valstrax can Dragon Beam. Granted, Valstrax is incredibly limited by the arena because he can't do his round-the-world rocket slam because he needs more space, but he could aim at Kushala, full jet engine, off the ground and go slamming into him before he can react, bringing him to the ground, and then a ground battle between Kushala and Valstrax would be kinda close. I think we can take Bloodbath out of it just because he can't win the ultimate final fight, assuming Kushala's there. So between Kushala, Nergy, and Valstrax, take your pick. Honestly, take your pick. I'm going to put another poll in the description. It is too close to call. I definitely think those 3, maybe Bloodbath. I'll put him on the poll just in case. But those 4, let's say, most times than not, one of them is going to be the last monster standing. I am all but certain of that fact. They are way too good in this kind of environment. So, there you go. I realized that was I don't know, something? But let's have the little list battle then. Let's have your favorite 5 versus my favorite 5. I think that would be quite good. And by the way, in a 1v1 tournament between them all, like we made every flagship fight against every other in a 1v1, see who got the most wins, it's Nergy, unquestionably Nergy. Brachydios would do fine, Valstrax would do fine, the Elders would do fine, but it's Nergy. He is essentially designed and is the monster on monster fight winner, unless he's hilariously outmatched, either in size like Eucanlos or a Cantor, or in sheer power like Fatalis. He really is canonically such an indomitable monster on monster fighter. In a 1v1, you are going to be hard pressed to ever take Nergy. So, you know, congratulations, hunters. We're pretty fucking good at this. Put a hunter in there. You can't wait at camp, come back when the last one's there, flash it out the sky. Easy. Alright, list fight then. The 5th voted by you guys was Nergigante. This surprised me because normally, and well, the rest of the votes do prove a older generation bias, but I think that's more because there's loads of new players in World. Nergy's your first proper flagship, and he is badass. I can't deny he's one of the best monster designs ever, so it's fair enough. My 5th then, which was really snubbed in the votes, Rathalos, the king of the skies. How can you not? He's not just the flagship monster of the first gen that started it all, the first, oh shit, that's the monster from the cinematic that people experienced, but he is the flagship of the franchise, the series. How can you not give him his due? Yes, he's been in every game. Yes, overexposure has made him dull, but he is iconic for a reason, and I have to respect that. I think there are monsters that are better fights, that look cooler, that just are much more interesting, even in the flagship department, but I have to respect Rathalos that essentially started it all. But him versus Nergy, haha, all of that said, yeah, Rathalos is fucking dead. Oh my god, it's not even close. Oh, you want to look away from that one. You guys' number 4 then was Tigrex, which again makes sense. A lot of people started with Monster Hunter Try. My 4th is Tigrex, because my first Monster Hunter that I put truly insane hours into was Freedom, and I remember him well, and I love his little aggressive, charging, fun, booping greatsword shenanigans. Tigrex versus Tigrex is interesting. If Tigrex can close the distance, which he's very good at with his incredible speed charging, he can run at the same full pelt as an adult tiger, which is to say, fucking quickly. And if he gets to Tigrex, dives on him, well, Tigrex has seconds to electrocute the shit out of him before his neck gets torn out, and it essentially comes down to that. Can he put Tigrex down before that lethal neck bite? And I'd say it's very close to 50-50 with these two. Then your 3rd vote was Zinogre. That's not super surprising, and mine is Gormogon, because I adore him. I think he's wonderful. I thought the 4th gen was absolutely just so much fun, and he was such a good story integral monster with such a good payoff with Shagaru, and yeah, he would kind of lose to Zinogre. I don't really see any other way of it happen. Even if we don't say that Zinogre gets frenzied and then kicks his ass because he can't run away, I think Zinogre just takes him. So you can have this one, alright? It's 3-1, allowing the draw, giving us both a point. I'm not doing great. Number 2 then for both of us is Naga Kouga. He got 16% of the votes. People love him, so do I, rightly so. He's one of the most sleek, well-designed, badass, terrifying, fun fights flagship. He's just the entire package. He's honestly approaching a perfect monster design, and he is adored by, well, everyone who has experienced him for very good reasons. And since we both chose Naga, flip a coin? Oh look, I called heads and it was heads. No, I did call heads, you just didn't hear it. So 3-2. Your number 1 then, which actually surprised me, 21% of the votes, Gormogon. Yeah, Gormogon. And the thing is, I can understand it for all the reasons I said when he was my 3rd. He is iconic, a design unlike any we'd seen before by a fair margin. The Frenzy Virus adding this whole element of gameplay that was so much fun, weaving itself in the game's mechanics and story perfectly for a complete Monster Hunter package that was an absolute pleasure to play through, with Gormogon as the enigmatic, mysterious center of it all. Your first fight with him is damn memorable, not to mention going on to, again, Shagaru Magala. So I can totally get this. He is just cool as fuck at the end of the day. There's nothing else that needs saying. He is just cool, and I can respect that. My number one, then, you might really have guessed this. Obviously, it's Brachydios. I adore him. I think he's wonderful. I think he's fascinating. The slime symbiosis is just gloriously designed, and look, Brachydios would destroy Gormogon. There's no real question about it. Even if the frenzy again is taken out, he would obliterate him. So we'll call it a draw at 3-3. Lovely. All right, good. Yeah. All right, I like it. Cool. Alright guys, I have no idea if this worked, I have no idea if this was entertaining. All I know is I've been talking for a while about like 16-ish flagship monsters fighting, and I hope I did it justice in that time, I really do. But yeah, mainly I wanted you to have fun going on this journey, imagining it with me, and I want your answers in the comments, alright? I want you to try and sell your winner in this free-for-all battle royale of flagships. I read all of the comments, I love them, you guys have some fantastic ideas, you are wonderful viewers, seriously, I could not ask for better, and I'll read them all, get involved. I want to know who you think, who you rep, who you think would conquer in this bout. But for now, I'm going to go lie down. My name has been Josh. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I will see you very soon. The next monster fight will be a more intimate 1v1, but I couldn't resist the opportunity to do this since we had the poll, you know. Goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
That's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you, even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on, and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.